The Speaker of the Cross River State House of Assembly, Elvert Ekom Ayambem, has been impeached. The Speaker was impeached on Wednesday by 17 members of the House over allegations of misappropriation of funds. The impeachment motion was moved by Effiom Ekarika, representing Calabar South 1 constituency, and seconded by Omang Charles Omang, representing Bekwara State Constituency. Ayambem was elected Speaker of the 10th Cross River State House of Assembly in June of 2023. He represents Ikom 2 State Constituency in the Houses of Assembly. And on to Edo State, where the Justice James Kolawole Omotosho of the Federal High Court in Abuja has granted permission to the impeached Deputy Governor of Edo State, Philip Shuaibu, to join the Speaker of the State Assembly in a suit challenging his impeachment before the court. The judge also granted order to the former Deputy Governor to join his successor as a defendant in the suit. Justice Omotosho dismissed the objections raised against the motion on notice by the Speaker and the Deputy Governor for being frivolous and without merit. He subsequently invoked Order 17 Rule 1 of the Federal High Court and ordered that the Speaker and the Deputy Governor be joined in the suit. And away from that now and on to security, let's tell you that the Nigerian Senate says it will convene a national security summit in an effort to find lasting solutions to the nation's pressing insecurity challenges. Now, the Senate, during its plenary in Abuja, says that the summit will provide a platform for heads of security agencies, governors, traditional rulers, socio-cultural groups, amongst others, to deliberate and find lasting solutions to the escalating insecurity being witnessed across the country. News Center's Imano Bagudu reports.
Farmers' headers clashes has once again been brought to the front burner, with Kogi State taking the center focus.
Headers invaded the Agoji Jodo, Ajopachi Odo, Bagaji and Bagana communities, killing 21 innocent citizens, including women and children, in addition to unprecedented destruction of their farm produce. Alarmed that on 30th April 2024, gunmen attacked Ajopachi Odo community in Omala local government area, killing no fewer than 3 persons and rendering the entire community desolate, with no health facility to cater for the deteriorating health conditions of the survivors.
Some senators expressed worry over the continuous killings being witnessed following repeated clashes between farmers and herders. They say it poses a feeling of hopelessness as all efforts to curb the situation has failed.
If all the cattle you consume in the United Kingdom, you see them on the streets of the United Kingdom or England, nobody sees these things on the road. It's only here that we can stay, and every morning herders will invade a community, kill 30 persons, touch the houses, burn their properties, displace them, and we have no solution to it.
What we owe these people goes beyond rhetoric, go beyond condemnation, go beyond 1 minute silence, go beyond crying every day. No, our tears will solve this problem.
While we deal with those who kill our people, we must be looking at the possibility, the necessity, and imperative of making government, the federal government particularly, to see how to resuscitate the lives and livelihood of those who are willing to remain within the boundaries of the law.
The Senate resolved to set up an ad hoc committee comprising 1 senator from each geopolitical zone in the country to once again look at the matter holistically.
Of course, you've seen that the whole thing is actually a national menace, and everybody is very concerned across all divides in the country. So you can see the totality of the voices here are also the voices of Nigerians speaking, that yes, indeed, enough is enough. We should find an end to these killings, find an end to the destruction.
The Senate observed a 1 minute silence to honor those that have lost their lives. In Abuja for News Central, I am Emmanuel Bagudu.
Still on insecurities, locals on Tuesday buried their loved ones after bandits killed 40 people in a Monday night attack in Washi local government area of Plateau State. Gunmen were said to have invaded the village of Zurak, Mashar district of Washi, which is known to be a very lucrative site for mining. Sources say among those killed were local vigilantes who kept watch for the security of other community members. And now to discuss this further, I'm being joined by the Executive Director, Global Peace and Life Rescue Initiative, Melvin Eje. Melvin, many thanks for coming on, and thank you so much for doing this with us. Let's get started very quickly. What are the potential underlying reasons for the frequent attacks by bandits in the Washi local government area, particularly in the mining reach village, which is Zurak village?
Let me especially condole with the government people of Plateau State, the TIC chairman of Wase local government, for this wanton destruction of lives and property in Wase local government area. I think the purpose of this attack, according to me, in my mind, is the ongoing military operations around the North Central. There's a massive military operation in Niger, there's massive military operation in Plateau, there's massive military operation in Nasarawa State. So there is this scampering for safety by these militants, and that's why they attacked Zura. They were actually on their way out when they met team of DSS and vigilante, combined team of security men in Wase local government who did justice to them and killed about 7 of them. So I think the killing of these persons is a retaliation to the attacks by the security men. So I do not think it's unusual. The military operation is ongoing in this general area, and they are scampering for safety in North Central.
I mean, let's pull in infrastructure into this conversation, right? How might the poor roads and communication infrastructure in rural areas, and in this case, like Zurak, impact in the effectiveness of security responses to such attacks?
It does a lot, because Zurak area is Zurak, Bangalala area are areas naturally that the hillocks and other vehicles are not easily accessed. So I think it needs a desert bike, which the security men don't have enough. That's one of the issues hampering security in Zurak, in Wase local government area. And also, that's why I wonder where people get this figure of 40, because as I speak to you now, the official figure we've gotten from people on ground is that 7 of these bandits were killed, and 10 of the community people were killed, then including 2 vigilantes, making about 19. So I don't know where they're getting these 40 figures from. From Wase town to Zurak, it's a whole lot of kilometers. It's not accessible by vehicle. You can't use any vehicle to access Zurak. So I don't know where people are getting these figures and apparently whether it's 40. I don't think up to 40 persons are killed. But be as it may, even if 1 person is killed in Nigeria, I think you should call for concern. But I'm actually condole with the families that lost their lives. However, the bad road in that general area is a serious sort of concern. Government need to act drastically to link them to the urban cities so that security agents will effectively police the area properly.
All right. Speaking about tackling this head on, the National Assembly, before myself and you just had this conversation, there was a piece where we showed to our viewers where you can see the members of the House there talking about conveying a national security summit where they can find lasting solutions to insecurity. And this ties into my next question, right? I mean, what measures can be taken to improve the security and safety of communities in high-risk areas like the Plateau State, for example, and villages that are located in there? And how can local vigilante groups be better supported, seeing that 2 vigilantes have died in this attack?
I want to commend the leadership of the National Assembly for taking this bold step. It's a step in the right direction, and I think it's timely. They should go ahead to ensure that this security summit is actually called, and every stakeholder that needs to be involved is involved to get possible solutions. And I also want to urge them to be very apolitical about the solutions and the submissions that are going to be made on that very day, because one thing that is hampering security operations in Nigeria is lack of political will, especially from political actors. The security agencies are willing to work, particularly the Nigerian military are willing to work. They are up of their game, but the political public office holders have been the major issue in terms of political will. If you get a suspect of some of these bandits, the people that come to release them, of course, are known to us. They are high-profile people from the society who come to release these bandits, who plead on that behalf. So what are the security men going to do? So for me, I think as much as I commend the summit, as much as I commend the National Assembly, they should be sincere in their deliberation. They should be deliberate about their deliberation, because this problem is affecting every sector of Nigeria. Every senatorial district, every constituency have been hit by this issue of insecurity. Then if we talk about empowering local vigilante, I think that's the sure way to go, because the only way you can get credible intelligence and actionable intelligence are from vigilante. So I think state government must deliberately invest in vigilante to ensure that they bring out actionable and timely intelligence to share to our security agencies who have the capacity to neutralize this bandit from our communities.
Thank you so much for coming on, Melvin. We appreciate you for doing this with us.
Welcome. Thank you for having me.
Away from security now, and this time let's talk about News Central, as we held a town hall meeting with the returnees of the Okwama community in Ugeli South local government area of Delta State, South Nigeria. Now, the aim is to amplify the cry for help by those who lost their homes and property in the aftermath of the bloodbath of March 14th in the community. Now, the residents bear their thoughts on this issue. Take a look.
Food not there. Children, they sick. We serve they sick. Our children, they suffer for hungry. Inside bush we there, we not see anything. We they fall at this maggot tree. Now we they bring maggot with the shop. So that was not the belly for us. So our people now, many of them died throw away. Men and women, children, they never see some. Some see they inside bush. What they die for themselves, we not know self. So we see they find that today, we never see them. So with the beg government say make it come, I beg, make it come help us. This our neighbor here village, when it trouble us, make they come talk to them, make they leave us. So make they come build our community for us. So no food, nothing, no. With the beg sheriff, make come build our community for us.
Okwamado. I am activist Blessed Ugere. The Osurigele Re Igele Orobo, the president, Orobo Progress Union, Youth Wing Worldwide. It's painful that our people suffer for the pains of what they know nothing about. Our people are bearing the consequences of nothing, of what they know nothing about. On March 14, from all indications, it shows that our people were set up by some wicked persons whom have seen our people as threat, or the development of our people as threat to their own self.
The National Peace Committee, with support from the Kuka Center, says that it has begun the evaluation of its independent states' peace architecture across several states of the country. Now, the committee says that this review is coming 5 years after the establishment of the independent states' peace architecture in 15 states across the country. News Central's Imano Baguda reports.
These are members of the Independent States Peace Architecture, a state peace intervention group established by the National Peace Committee in 15 fragile states in Nigeria. They are meeting for the first time after their establishment in 2019. To provide feedback and gain more knowledge on their mandates.
And I think they have become a very reliable body for early warning, for intelligence gathering, for information that will not readily reach us. They are able to put that together and send to us. And I think for me, the most beautiful thing is that they come from those states, they speak the language, they understand the context, they understand the politics and the economy, and therefore they are able to, help us respond to some of these situations. It's always better than someone who doesn't know the place, just comes from outside to tell you what to do. So that is why the ISPs, the independent state-based peace architectures, have become relevant in our aspiration to respond to issues of conflict and violence across this country.
What we are doing today is bringing them together to discuss, of course, based on the plenary, and to say, is it possible that ahead of the 2027 general elections we can do better? 2023 is gone. From the pools to peace, and that is what we are looking at, to navigate pathways to promoting peace building and social cohesion.
Some of the members of the Independent State Peace Architecture say much has been achieved since their inauguration.
To mention a few, we immediately after the announcement of the election, we met with the contestants and they hugged themselves. They agreed with the result of the election through what we did before the election with them. We sat with them, we advised them, we showed them the importance of peaceful election and after, especially after the result has announced. So with that, the contestants from the different political parties, they came together, we sat with them, and we congratulated each other for having a peaceful election in the state.
Presently, we are counseling about 54 of them who disarmed a few months ago. They're undergoing rehabilitation. That takes time before we can reintegrate them into society. into their families and among their peers. So these are some of the areas we have worked.
The Peace Committee says that with the current state of insecurity in Nigeria, plans are underway to establish the independent peace architecture in the remaining states of the country. In Abuja for News Central, I'm Emmanuel Bagudu.
Security experts have expressed optimism over adequate reforms for Nigeria's police force in line with the 2020 Police Act and demands by Nigerians for a citizens-focused police force. Now, this was during the closeout ceremony of the Nigeria Police Reform Initiative project implemented by international security agency International Alert. Now, the project aims ensuring police reform in Nigeria sees the light of day. Amadi Uyi has this report.
It was a closeout ceremony of the Nigeria Police Reform Initiative project. The project, which was organized by International Peace Building Organization, the International Alert, held at the police force headquarters in Abuja and sought to address concerns from the public regarding the nation's police force.
Nigerians feel that there's limited police presence across the country, but this presence itself was seen to be very, very, worse in rural communities. This time around, efforts at police reform will not just be written down, but will be implemented.
We had two pieces of research. The first one was on public perception and attitude of the public, about the police. And then the second one was the understanding of the police about the Police Act 2020. The objective also for this project is making sure that there's adequate sensitization around the Police Act.
While experts say the project also aligns with the current administration's renewed hope agenda, some of them are optimistic that it will catalyze reforms in line with Nigeria's 2020 Police Act.
So when we look at the manifesto of the APC, a key point of the president's contract with Nigerians was to boost public confidence in the Nigerian police force. And so that boosting of the public confidence is really the linchpin of efforts at reforms.
This support is happening at a very interesting time for Nigeria. I noted not that long ago, a few weeks back, the National Assembly hosted an event on very much the debate around state police. I think this work is part of that. It informs how Nigeria can develop a modern police force that is fit for the challenges of today and tomorrow.
They said they are positive that the police will be able to cascade the training earlier received by several cadres of its personnel, down to even its rank and file.
I hope that those that have received the benefit of training will one day become the trainers themselves and will share and disseminate that good practice because, as you pointed out earlier on, the Nigerian police force is a significant institution. It's large, it's complex, and there are many different corners of Nigeria that need to be reached through the works that we're doing today.
With a focus on police reforms, many will be hoping that the project bets a citizens-driven police force. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadin Uyi.
And let's turn to labor matters and its proposed salary increment. The meeting on the ongoing negotiations of new minimum wage has been adjourned till Wednesday after the organized labor rejected the new 54,000 naira minimum wage proposal by the federal government. Tuesday's meeting came as a result of the walkout staged by members of the organized labor following the proposal of 48,000 naira as minimum wage by the federal government during last week's meeting. During that meeting, the organized private sector had also proposed 54,000 naira. The national president of the Nigeria Labour Congress, Joa Jewore, insisted on 615,000 naira minimum wage, arguing that the amount was arrived at after an analysis of the current economic situation and the needs of an average Nigerian family of 6. And we move now to education. The University of Jos branch of the Academic Staff Union of Universities in the University of Jos, North Central Nigeria, says it is ready to join all activities of the National Executive Council of the association in ensuring that education is restructured and placed on a better pedestal. News Central's Chizoba Anyowe completes the report.
At this time of the day, these lecturers at the University of Jos should be in the classroom, but instead, they are here on a peaceful protest to express their grievances over the inability of the federal government to fulfill her responsibility, especially in the education sector. With different placards bearing their thoughts, they marched from their secretariat to the Vice Chancellor's office to present their letter of protest to him. Chairman of ASU in the university had briefed journalists on this incident.
The University of Jos branch of ASU strongly aligns itself with the position of NEC arising from the NEC that took place at the Obafemi Awolowo University Ile-Ife on the 11th and 12th May 2024. In giving the government a 14-day ultimatum to do the needful in order to avoid breakdown of industrial harmony.
He said government should live up to its responsibility by meeting their demands if lecturers would go back to the classrooms.
The non-payment of our EAA arrears and 3.5 months of withheld salaries already captured in the budget. The sanctity of legally constituted governing councils, review of the 2009 FGN ASU agreement, revitalization fund for public universities, earned academic allowances and withheld salaries for all universities and promotion arrears.
Accepting the letter from ASU, the Vice Chancellor of the university promised to deliver same to the government.
I can assure you also that this letter that you have sent to the Vice Chancellor, University of Jos, for ultimate transmission to the federal government. I can assure you that we are going to transmit this letter verbatim.
The 14-day ultimatum given by the National Executive Committee of ASU is already counting, while students and other stakeholders wait with bated breath on what the outcome of the face-off will be as another interruption of academic activities in Nigerian universities is an option no one will want. In Jos for News Central, Chizoba Anyowi.
Following the 72-hour demolition notice issued to shop owners at Ogige Market and Unsuka Motor Park by the Enugu State Government, 3 National and State Assemblies members have appealed to Governor Peter Mba to suspend the exercise. According to the lawmakers, the appeal became necessary due to the prevailing economic hardship in the country and Enugu State in particular. The lawmakers also urged the governor to consider compensating the affected traders and shop owners and relocating them to alternative market space and park. They lamented that over 10,000 traders, mostly women and youths, would be affected by the exercise, stressing that the demolition would undoubtedly bring untold hardship on the people. Members of the 6th Legislature of the ECOWAS Parliament have met with the Emir of Kano, calling for integration of member states in the sub-region. The acting Speaker of the Parliament, while leading the delegation to the Royal Palace in Kano, assured that regional lawmakers are working round the clock to ensure that the regional Parliament fulfills the goals of the Commission, which seeks to integrate members and peoples of the ECOWAS community. Amadine Uyi reports.
The members of the ECOWAS Parliament had converged on the ancient city of Kano to attend the second extraordinary session of the 6th Parliament. Their first port of call was the palace of the Emir of Kano, where the leader of the delegation, the acting Speaker, highlighted the Parliament's reason for choosing the ancient city.
Of our choice of Kano to conduct extraordinary session of the ECOWAS Parliament. And the reason for deciding to pick Kano, of course, is not to all. Kano has a strategic position in Nigeria. It is the commercial nerve center of the entire northern Nigeria. It is also the political capital. It is also the political nerve center of the entire northern Nigeria.
The acting speaker says that the parliament will be hoping to fulfill the goal of the commission, which is integrating members of the ECOWAS community.
We don't have any barrier as to what to discuss. We discuss the general well-being of the people of the West African sub-region. So we are here to ensure that integration, one of the reasons for forming ECOWAS in the first place, is actualized.
The Emir urged the parliament to take advantage of the friendly business climate in the city and engage with the business community.
We hope that in addition to their session here, they also find the opportunity to discuss with various strata of Kano society, the business community, the ulamas, and government representatives, so that we can have fruitful discussions on the way forward to bring much needed progress and development, not only to Nigeria but to the whole of West Africa.
The second extraordinary session of the parliament will be ending on the 25th of May. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadine Uyi.
Guinean prosecutors on Wednesday began their long-awaited closing arguments in the trial of former dictator Musa Dadis Camara and 10 other former military and government officials. Now, Deputy Prosecutor Abdullahi Babadi Camara opened the critical juncture in the trial, which began in September 2022, by reiterating its historic nature. He recounted the charges against the 11 men, ranging from murder to sexual violence, kidnappings, arson, and looting. The trial experienced a number of delays following the prosecution's request asking judges to reclassify the charges from ordinary crimes to crimes against humanity. Civil parties, which are victims with a standing in the case, supported the request. And on to East Africa, where Kenya's government has defended the cost of President William Ruto's trip to the U.S. Now, this follows outrage by some citizens that he chartered an aircraft instead of using his usual presidential plane. Now, this is against the backdrop of the government's austerity measures and the cost of living crisis. The price of hiring the luxury private jet is estimated to be around $1.5 million. Now, government spokesman, and that's Isaac Mure, said the benefits of the visit far outweighed the cost of hiring a private jet. More than 30 people, including a popular comedian, are reported to be accompanying the president, who landed in Atlanta, Georgia on Monday. Ruto is on a 4-day visit at the invitation of his U.S. counterpart, President Joe Biden. It's the first state visit by a Kenyan president to the U.S. in 2 decades and the first by an African leader in 16 years. Move away from that now to Southern Africa. A union leader in Mozambique, Asalma Muchave, says more than 1,000 people have died because of a lack of care amid health workers' strike. According to Muchave, most of the reported deaths were in the provinces of Inhambane and Sofala. Now, the strike by 50,000 union members began 3 weeks ago after negotiations over working conditions collapsed. Nurses, psychologists, drivers, and cleaners, among others, those that are striking for overtime allowances and better medical equipment. Muchave said the workers were forced to strike because they face such dire conditions which the government are refusing to confront. The Health Ministry has in the past accused the Association of United Health Professionals of Mozambique of exaggeration. And now to discuss this, we are joined by the chairperson of the Health Workers United, Anselmo Muchave, and he joins us from Maputo, Mozambique. Thank you so much for coming on. A very good day to you. Let's get started. How can we verify the reported deaths of 1,000 people attributed to the strike? Let's start from there, right? And then we can move on to to more. But how can we verify this number of people that have now died?
Yes, afternoon for all Africa. I'm here to tell about the strike, because you started this strike for 2 weeks ago, and we start negotiation last year, 2023, and the government don't do nothing about the changes and has hospitals. And what is the government doing? The government all talk but don't change nothing. We talk about medicines. We talk about the beds in hospitals. You talk about the material to X-rays, essential medicines like antibiotics. Our hospital don't have this material since last year, and our government every single day say we can. They change something, but nothing is changed in our hospitals.
Anselmo, the government have accused the workers of exaggerating, the conditions and the things. That's the conditions that the workers face, right? And just the state of healthcare, right? But now this number that you're saying, 1,000 persons have died due to the strike. Can we verify this? Is this true? Is this true in terms of the government saying that it's exaggerated? Are there independent sources of information from these provinces, which is Inhamban, Bain, I beg your pardon, and Sofala, to corroborate these numbers of 1,000 people? That is a lot.
Let me tell you something. We closed all hospitals in Mozambique. You understand? And we have many. You have health workers in another hospital to take care for minimum service. That's why you have real numbers for this striker. The government don't make good analysis about the real number. This government work beds such long years ago, and that's why the government don't have a real number. If the government need the real number, we can give the government the real number, because the government don't have the real number, because we work like that for a long time. We can give this number because how the Inyambane and the Sofala has this number.
Right.
Inyambane and the Sofala have this number because many hospitals is closed totally. Many hospitals is closed totally, and the people need doctors in the hospital, need the health workers in the hospital, and no one go to hospital because the government refused to change the situation in the hospitals. Imagine the ambulance and another hospital work without petrol and electricity. How the many surgery make the surgery in hospitals. That's why all health workers now is stay home waiting for the government to change something.
So the impact of the strike on Selmo is on different healthcare workers is that they have now stayed at home waiting for the government to do more, right? And you're saying that this numbers in Himbani and Sofala, it's far more, and the government is refusing to accept it. Now, beyond rejecting the death toll claims, right? What specific actions is the health ministry taking to address the workers' demand and end the strike once and for all?
The first thing, we need medicines in the hospital, because the people now will look for the health workers, like the health workers steal the medicines. The health workers don't want to give food for the patient, and we need the government. You can ask them, health minister, how long don't give uniform to the health workers, and they ask you, how long don't give food for the patient in the hospital, and how long.
Anselmo, I can hear you. Anselmo,
sorry,
you there?
I'm so sorry.
Go ahead.
Yes, I'm so sorry. And you can ask for a health minister for how long the health minister don't give medicines in the hospitals, don't give essential medicines like antibiotic, Nurofen.
Anselmo, many thanks for coming on. We appreciate you for doing this. We'll continue to follow this story as it unfolds, and we do hope that this strike doesn't last long. That's Anselmo there, all the way from Mozambique, talking to us about the Health Workers Union, their strike. The leaders of Norway, Ireland, and Spain have said that their countries will formally recognize Palestine as a state next week for the sake of peace in the Middle East, prompting Israel to immediately recall its envoys. Norway's Prime Minister, Jonas Gahr Støre, said on Wednesday that a two-state solution was in Israel's best interest and the recognition of Palestinians' statehood would come as of May 28th. Ireland's Prime Minister, Simon Harris, made a similar statement in Dublin, as did Spain's Prime Minister, Pedro Sanchez, in Madrid to applause in Parliament. Ireland's Foreign Minister, Michael Martin, said that the recognition will take place on May 28th. And now for more on this, I'm joined by our international correspondent, Effiom Ekarika. Effiom, many thanks for coming on. We appreciate you for doing this with us. Let's get started. Tell us what has been the reaction to this recognition of the Palestinian state by these three countries.
Well, a rather strong reaction from Israel, as you can imagine. The Israeli Foreign Minister, Israel Katz, said he's ordering the return of the Israeli ambassadors in those three countries that you mentioned, Ireland, Norway, and Spain. And he went on to say that he will be showing them a video of Israeli female soldiers being kidnapped. Mr. Katz also said that there will be reprimand talks for those ambassadors as well, and he said Israel will not go over this in silence. There will be other serious consequences. Now, Hamas, on the other hand, and their rival, the Palestinian Authority, they have welcomed this particular recognition. Of course, we know that Hamas has control over the Gaza region and, of course, is embroiled in that war with Israel. They said that Wednesday's announcements will be a turning point in the international position of the Palestinian issue. The statement from Bassem Naim, who's a senior Hamas figure, said the brave resistance of the Palestinian people was behind the move. The Palestinian Authority, who are Hamas's bitter rivals, also said that this demonstrated the unwavering commitment to delivering the long overdue justice to the Palestinian people.
Right. Then why is just recognizing the Palestine state viewed as such a statement to begin with?
Absolutely. Now, this goes back to the root of all the kind of issues in Palestine, in Israel, in this region. Now, we know that the British took control of the area that's now known as Palestine. That was after the defeat of the Ottoman Empire of the Middle East. That was at the end of World War I, and they were put in charge of kind of dividing up Palestine as it was then. It had majority Arab settlers and minority Jewish settlers there, meaning there was more Palestinians there than Jewish people, but they lived pretty cohesively. And then more Jewish people started heading to that part of the world, and of course, especially after the Second World War. And basically, they started taking more and more of the land, and as you can imagine, with any kind of land grab, wars ensued. And more Palestinian people were forced from the places of Palestine that they used to occupy, that they used to have, that used to be their lands. And then those lands became occupied by the Jewish settlers. So Palestine as a country existed, but then Israel was recognized as a country, and that country had land that originally belonged to Palestine, and Palestine wanted to be recognized as a country as well. And Israel said that that wasn't a good idea, that threatened their very existence, and that if Palestinian people were allowed to return to their lands, and their descendants perhaps as well, it would overwhelm the Jewish people, and therefore they didn't want that. They wanted to feel safe. And so the two-party solution, which is one that lots of people around the world talk about, is where you have Israel and Palestine, both countries recognized at the same time. Now, Israel says that they will never recognize a Palestinian state and a Palestinian country. Now, countries across the world have recognized Palestinian states, just under 150 of them. Not a lot of them, coincidentally, are in Europe. And not a lot of them started recognizing them until sort of the mid-80s and mid-90s. And now that conversation is quite rightly coming back because of the situation in the Middle East at the moment. A lot of people feel that recognizing a Palestinian state is just fair for the people, the Arab majority, who were there back in the early 1900s.
Meanwhile, what is the situation in Palestine at the moment?
Well, the Israel-Gaza conflict absolutely continues. Aid blockades continue as well. About 500 trucks of aid are needed in Gaza every single day, and at the moment you've got under 50 trucks entering at different ports that have been closed. We've talked a lot about the siege on Rafah that is apparently coming. Some bombardment has started. Israel have said that it's very important that they get into Rafah and that they do weed out Hamas that are staged in those tunnels under Rafah, and that's a really important part of their operation, possibly the last bit of their operation. However, the problem is with that particular city is that that's where everybody has gone to after other cities are being bombarded. So you've got about 2.5 million people now in harm's way with no real plan for evacuation. Peace talks have also pretty much ground to a halt, so no hostages looking like they're being released anytime soon either.
It's a very precarious and sad situation indeed. I've seen on social media how families are crowdfunding to get their family members and the extended family out of Palestine and Gaza and Rafah and all the other affected area. Many thanks for coming on. I appreciate you for doing this with us.
Thank you.
Coming up next is sports. And on to sports, where Inter Milan have been taken over by U.S. fund Oaktree after the Serie A champions' outgoing owners Sonning missed a deadline to repay a debt worth hundreds of millions of euros. In a statement, Oaktree announced they had assumed control of Inter after the non-repayment of a 3-year loan to Inter Milan's holding companies that matured on 21st May 2024, with a total balance due of approximately 395 million euros, and that's about $428 million. Now, Chinese conglomerates Sonning have relinquished control of Inter to Oaktree 3 days after the team was officially crowned Italian champions for the 20th time. Sonning borrowed 275 million euros at over 12% interest 3 years ago to pay staff and players as the COVID-19 pandemic ravaged the finances of clubs across Europe, putting up their controlling stake at the club as collateral. And that's all at this hour. But before we go, let's take another look at some of the major stories. Cross River Assembly impeaches Speaker Ayambem over alleged misappropriation of funds. Labour rejects federal government's 54,000 naira new minimum wage offer. Talks resume on Wednesday. And Kenya government defends cost of president's jet flight to United States. Now remember that you can send us your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number now on the screen. And make sure to follow us on social media. We're at News Central TV. You can also watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Judith at TV.